Welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. My name is Karen Seltz. I am your host, and I am really excited to dive into this topic of what story are you telling yourself? And by story, I mean, what is the narrative that's going on inside your head? Like, that's possible for that person, but not for me. Or this is as good as I'm going to get. Or why bother going for that? It's not going to work out. The disempowering stories is what I want to pinpoint and dig up. Let's uproot those suckers and move on. Because what story you tell yourself or what's going on inside your head determines what's possible for you in every single area of your life. So if you don't like your results, chances are there's some kind of story in there that's happening, probably without your permission, that is holding you where you are, keeping you getting the same results over and over. And tonight we're going to dive into how do you actually learn to tell a different story and to have it not be BS, right? Because if it's BS, you have a BS detector that's automatic in there that's going to say, uh-huh, sure, right, nice try. And you're going to go back to the old patterns. So we're going to dive into all of that. If you are new to me, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. I am a subconscious mind reprogramming expert. I help people release the effects of past trauma in a quick and painless way using a process called rapid resolution therapy that takes memories of the past and it shines a light on them and gets the good news to your unconscious mind that they're not happening anymore. There's no need for you to feel disturbing emotions or physiological sensations in your body because they're over with. And once it really gets that information, it stops sending those signals. All of a sudden, there's no reason for you to be angry or sad or frustrated, irritated, depressed, because your mind gets that that thing is not happening anymore. So it takes all that energy it's been spending trying to fix all that stuff from the past and puts it into your future toward healing your body in this present moment and creating the future that you really want. So if you want more information on that, please look me up on my website, karenseltz.com. Let's dive in. This is so exciting to me because for so long, like I was in therapy and I would tell these stories and they would get better every single time I told them. I don't know if you can relate to that, but if you've ever told one of your girlfriends a story, like something you don't like in your life, maybe about your partner or somebody, a coworker or a boss, the next time you tell it to somebody else, did you notice it get like 10% better? Like, so that people are like, oh my gosh, that person's such a jerk, or how do you put up with that? Like to get like some kind of emotional charge out of it. Well, I did that. I don't know about you. I won't speak for you, but I was really good at that, like getting some more juice out of it. And research actually shows that a full 50% of the stories we tell aren't even true. So people are living miserable lives or reliving miserable lives they never even had. Like it wasn't that bad. There's nothing wrong with you if you do that. It's just, have some fun with it. That's what I do. I'm like, that's hilarious that I made it, so one-sided. And I think many of us do this without being even aware that we're doing it. And there is a choice point. If you don't like the results that you have, are you willing to do something different? If you are, let's play. What can you do? Well, number one is you get to be aware. Okay, what is the story that is most present for you? Like, what do you tell yourself when you think about something that you really want? Say it's a promotion or a new job or starting a business or a new relationship or a better relationship with the person that you currently have, better health. What is it that comes in? There's like some voice usually that comes in and will tell you something. You get to become so aware of what that voice is saying. Number one, okay, what is the voice saying? Dr. Joe Dispenza says this all the time. Let me say that one more time in a slower, more audible way. Dr. Joe Dispenza, that was like one syllable. Dr. Joe Dispenza. So, Dr. Joe Dispenza says this all the time. You get to become so aware of your thoughts that you would never ever let them slip by your awareness. Because right now, it's unconscious. These stories are coming in and you're not even aware they're happening most of the time. Maybe sometimes, but most of the time, they're just like the normal chatter that's always in there. So when you tell your mind, hey, watch for this thought, watch for this story, watch for this little excuse that I make that's so logical. Like um, one of them that I love is I used to teach video, and people would have this story like, I only have one chance to make a first impression. It better be good, or people are going to lose respect for me and they'll never follow me again. Well, it's simply not true. Everybody has to start out somewhere, exactly where they are. Nobody starts out being eloquent TEDx speakers, right? They start out screwing up. And it takes courage to be able to screw up and to show up again and say, hey, that was fun. Let's do that again. And there are processes like I take people through, like, say, oh my gosh, oh no, I'm going to be embarrassed. Like, after we do a process, repeat this after me. Oh no, I'm going to be embarrassed. Like, our minds, here's the thing, the unconscious mind does not know the difference between embarrassment or rejection and a lion racing at you. They both will trigger the exact same survival response. So it's really fascinating to know that, right? Like, can somebody on the internet watching you who might comment or give you a thumbs down, can they really kill you or threaten your survival? No, it's ridiculous, right? But our minds, our primitive minds, our unconscious minds don't know that. It treats every perceived threat as a real threat. And somebody on the internet watching you, judging you, the armchair quarterback judging you, cannot kill you. They can't. Like, it's pretty ridiculous, right? A lion can kill you, yes. And it's funny to know that the unconscious mind reads that data exactly the same way. So I don't remember what my point was. My friend John, my buddy John, who we do our podcast together, he says, when you forget your train of thought, that means you're so present in this moment that that past moment doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to go with that today. I was just talking to my niece before this. It's her birthday. And I'm like, I love when I screw up because I do everything live. I don't pre-record things. So when I screw up, I have no choice. I get to go with it. I mean, I have a choice. I could sit here and cry or be embarrassed, but that's not who I am anymore. Maybe in the past. So what story are you telling yourself? So, all right, back to the Dr. Joe Dispenza thing. You get to become so aware of those thoughts and just start noticing them. And here's the uncomfortable part. Once you tell your unconscious mind what to look for, it's going to start finding it everywhere. So you're going to become aware that you have this story going on. I call it also a racket, like it's BS. In the Native American culture, they call it pretender voices, which are very convincing. You're going to become aware of it a lot. And you're like, gosh, do I ever think about anything else? Like, no wonder I haven't accomplished anything. So the tendency there is to beat yourself up. And I'm going to invite you to not do that. I'm going to invite you instead to look at it like, oh my gosh, this was all unconscious before. It was going on just as much, but I wasn't aware of it. It was slipping by my awareness, by my consciousness. Now I'm catching it. So every time you catch it, any disempowering thought or belief, celebrate the heck out of it because you caught it. And that is the first step, is catching it, because you can't change anything that you're not aware of. It will continue to rule you without your permission. So when you catch yourself, you're like, yes, caught it. And that's a win. Chalk it up in the win column. And don't count them unless you really want to. If you're into numbers, like, oh my gosh, another one, another one, another one. That could be fun, actually. Yeah, I like it. Whatever works. So you're catching it. So what thoughts are you not letting past your conscious awareness? And then what thoughts do you want to think? Because you get to fall in love with the future you. So move into the future. If you move like 12 months into the future and it's been the best year of your life, What have you created? Who have you become in the process? Because the only reason we want things like we want a relationship or money or a promotion or a TED talk or whatever it is we want is to get the feelings. What will you feel when you're in the relationship of your dreams? What will you feel when you've accomplished whatever in your career that you want to accomplish? What will you feel when you're on that TEDx stage? What will you feel when your body is working and feeling great and looking good? What will you feel? So get into that emotional state. What is it that you want to feel? Because we can't create from lack or separation. So if you feel like I will be happy when I'm in a committed, loving relationship, romantic relationship, it's really difficult to create it from that place of lack and separation from it. But if you can get into that feeling, well, I'm going to feel loved and supported, and there's going to be this sense of playfulness and joy or whatever. And you can feel that now because I guarantee it's possible for you to feel it right now without a romantic partner. You can start romancing yourself. Like you can feel, how can I love myself today? How can I pour into myself? Because especially for women, so many women and a lot of men too, to be honest, are really looking to serve their partners and to do things for them and to, it's almost like earning love, but making yourself indispensable maybe, and being appreciated. But it's not real love. I mean, I hate to break it to you. Real love is looking at the other person and seeing no lack, like they don't need you for anything. You're both whole and complete, and you come together as whole and complete, and then you just blossom and grow and pour into each other because you're already full. You don't need anything. You might want things, but you don't need the other person to complete you because you're already whole. Hopefully that made sense. And I know it's a bit of a tangent, but we're going there anyways. So, what is it that you want to feel? How can you feel that now? Just start feeling it. Imagine you're in it right now and spend time there. Imagine. So, your job is to figure out what you want and how you want to feel. So, you send out a thought to the universe. So, the universe is like an electric signal out to the universe. This is what I want. And then you feel it in your heart. Oh, what does it feel like to be in that? And that feeling sense is a magnet. It magnetizes that event to you. So you send out the signal with the thought, you bring it back to you with the feeling. And you continue to do this. You're firing and wiring new signals in the brain, which is how you create new behaviors and you become that person. Now, I love Dr. Joe says people go up to him and say, how come I don't have a house in Tahiti with my husband? And he's like, the man, lady, the woman who has the house in Tahiti and is married to the love of her life isn't in that personality, right? She's somebody different. Who do you get to become in order to attract those things? Because from the place you are in, you can't do it, or else you would have it already. The results you have are the exact mirror of where you've been very recently, right? So even if you've shifted some, the stuff might be on its way to you. And you get to be grateful in advance because gratitude means something good has just happened or is happening right now. So when you can be grateful ahead of the event happening, it's got to come to you. It's law. So what stories do you want to create? I saw this thing on like TikTok or something, and this woman did this thing where she created this story and then she put it into AI and said, tell me about a story about a woman named Karen, and this is what she created. This was what her life was. And she put it into AI and she put like all her qualifications, everything she wanted, and then it spit out a story. And she said, I did this too. I had to make very few changes. And then she read it, recorded it on an audio note, and listened to it every night before bed. I haven't done that because I didn't love mine the way it was. It sounded very weird. So I get to redo it or maybe not use AI because, you know, I think my voice is better, to be honest, especially to me in my unconscious mind. So that's something you could do as well. Like, what story do you want to live 1 year from now? And start listening to it and feeling it, especially if it's read in your voice and you're listening to it. And while you're listening to it, you just have your eyes closed and your hands on your heart and you're like feeling it. What does it feel like to wake up, next to my perfect partner in my house on the beach and whatever. I mean, whatever it is that you want. Maybe you want to have a tiny house that's mobile. I don't know. Whatever it is that you want, whatever your soul is calling for, whatever desires you have are meant for you. We live in a kind universe. So this desire would not be there without the ability for you to get there. One of the most important lessons I've learned recently, it's so funny. I spent so much time in 12-step recovery and I never got this concept of surrender. I'm like, I get it up here, but I don't know how to do it. How do I let go of control and actually surrender? And there have been so many times over the last year where I'm like, I can't do it on my own anymore. I just know I've always been taken care of, always. Like things always work out, they always do. And what's all the worrying and stress for? It's just preventing that from happening quicker. So I've done that so many times this year. And when I do it, things just shift immediately. Like I've had some things with money where it's been tight and I'm like, how am I going to pay this bill? And then I'm like, okay, Karen, is there ever a time when you haven't been taken care of? No. So then I just surrender it. And sometimes I get to ask for support from somebody like, hey, who do you know who might want to work with me or whatever? It's not like I'm sitting back always, but sometimes I'm like, okay, all right, I know I'm always taken care of. And then somebody reaches out to me, hey, I really want to work with you. I've been watching on Facebook for 5 years. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's what happens. It's like when we can just soften and trust. And I love James Wedmore. He's phenomenal. Look him up if you don't know him. He's a phenomenal business coach, very spiritual. He has a podcast called the Mind Your Business Podcast, which is phenomenal. But he says, when you place an order on Amazon, do you check it like every 5 minutes? Oh gosh, did I order the right thing? When's it coming? Do you track it? You're like, you trust that it's coming when they said it's coming, and it does, like 99.99% of the time. So it's like that. Like you put in your order to the universe and you trust and you're grateful. I mean, you might not be grateful for your Amazon order, but when you're putting your order into the universe, you do it once, right? And then you're grateful for it. So if you do that and just stay in that state of feeling it, what is it going to feel like when it comes? What is it going to feel like? Who am I becoming in the process? That's the biggest thing, is shifting at an identity level, because the person who has that life that you want doesn't look anything like you right now. She doesn't. He doesn't, he handles problems differently. She handles conflict, right? Differently. She uses her resources differently. Her thoughts are different about herself. Her emotional regulation's different. The way she stands is different. So there's so many things. If you look at that picture of that person that's a year from now, what do they look like? How do they stand? What are the thoughts going on in their head? What emotions are they feeling? And step into that. I do have a future self meditation that's super fun. I channeled it during one of my coaching programs. So if you want that, just send me an email, Karen@KarenSeltz.com, and I will find it and get it to you. I just remembered that. It was so fun. Yes. So the future self meditation, it's super fun. I highly recommend doing it. So if you want that, let me know. But you get to be responsible. Now, for me, it's been very difficult to remember to do these things on a regular basis. And you're working with the subconscious mind. Yes, I use subconscious and unconscious interchangeably. So you're working with the subconscious mind, and it works just like an animal. When you teach a dog a new trick, you don't do it once and say, "Hey, you dummy, you can't sit up, you can't play dead." You don't do that, right? You do it over and over. It's called procedural memory because you have to do it over and over and learn the procedure. So, the same thing with training your unconscious mind to any new habit. You get to do it over and over and over until you can do it in your sleep. Look, I can sit up. Finally, after all these years, I've been working on it for many years. So that's what you get to do. So what I recommend is you set an alarm in your phone that goes off every day that has no snooze. Like you got to do it. Instead, block off the time in your calendar every single day when you're going to do your future self. You don't have to do like a whole meditation, but you can just do the story. Like, what's the day like of your future self? And listen to it and really sit with your eyes closed and feel it. Feel it in your body, like, and bring in as many senses as you can. Like, what does it smell like? Is what's the temperature of the air? Is it humid where you are? So feel that air coming into your nostrils because it's different than dry air, right? Or you're someplace cold and crisp. So feel it. What does your partner's touch feel like? What does it feel like when you touch their face? Whatever it is, really bring in as many senses. What are you eating? And then taste it. Delicious, right? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Maybe it's the ocean, maybe it's birds. Hear all of that. Maybe it's a coffee maker. So add as many sensory inputs in as you can, and that brings it alive in the unconscious mind, but really, really feel it. So I would love to know what you're creating. What is the story that you want to be telling me next year? And you get to tell it now in order to create it by next year. What is it? Next year at this time, what do you want to be celebrating? I love to look at it that way too. What are you celebrating next year at this time? And if you don't do it, your life will most likely look a lot like it does right now. And that might be good. And if you're not moving towards something, it might go backward, right? That happens a lot because our soul wants us to wake up. It's like, okay, wake up. You're missing the moment. You're missing your life. We don't have an infinite amount of time. We don't know how much time we actually have. So what if this is your last year? What do you want to do with it? And there's lots of ways to kind of work with it and create motivation or whatever it is to get you to do the thing because you must take action. If you want anything to change, you must do something different, or else you're firing and wiring the same exact patterns that you've been experiencing day in, day out, Groundhog Day. So I hope this was supportive to you. Please comment. And if you want that meditation, email me and I will be happy to send it. Thank you so much for watching Irresistible You. Ignite your passion and purpose. I'm Karen Seltz. I'll see you right here next time. Bye.